Are you ready to break free from the chains that have held you captive for far too long? It's easy to feel trapped by fear, negativity, or even the power of words spoken over your life. But what if there was a way to not only destroy the curses, but to release God's power to work in your life like never before? Psalm 39 holds the key to this transformation. You may not realize it, but with the right prayer, you can unlock divine power that will shift your circumstances forever. It's time to stop letting life's struggles control you and start living with the authority and peace that God promises. Let's dive into the power of this prayer and uncover how it can radically change your life. Most people go through life carrying invisible burdens, chains forged by envy, curses, and spiritual attacks they don't even realize exist. But there's a deeper truth hidden in the Bible. Prayer isn't just a ritual, it's a weapon. When someone prays with intention, like in Psalm 39, it's not about repeating words. It's about breaking spiritual locks that have kept doors sealed for too long. Imagine someone who's constantly stuck. New job never comes, relationships fail, joy vanishes for no clear reason. They've tried everything, except turning to the angels and praying with purpose. Psalm 39 becomes more than a prayer. It's a declaration. It's like lighting a divine torch in the darkness that's been surrounding them for years. When a person finally gets it, when they pray with the fire of their soul and speak as if heaven is listening, they feel it. Chains fall, not metaphorically, but truly. That's when the blocked paths begin to open. But this only works when they understand that freedom doesn't start outside. It starts within, and it leads to something even more powerful. There's something transformative that happens when a person fully surrenders to God. It's as if a heavy weight lifts off their shoulders, finally acknowledging that their strength has limits, but God's power knows no bounds. In moments of uncertainty, when one feels lost, prayer becomes the key to unlocking divine help. Not because it's a magic trick, but because it's an act of total trust. Imagine standing before God, humbly acknowledging His sovereignty, saying, "I can't do this alone, but I know you can." That's the essence of surrender. It's not about being weak. It's about aligning with a force far greater than oneself. When someone prays in that state, they're not just speaking. They're letting go of the burden of control, trusting that the angels are moving behind the scenes. True surrender doesn't come easy. It demands faith, even when there's no visible sign of change. It requires the listener to stand still in the silence, to trust in God's presence in ways that can't be seen but can always be felt. And in that moment of stillness, the question remains, can we truly surrender everything, or are we still holding on to something? Words have incredible power. They shape our world, influence those around us, and can either build or destroy. The Bible makes it clear. The tongue has the power of life and death. When someone prays, they're not just saying words. They're commanding spiritual forces, making their intentions clear to both heaven and earth. This is why we must guard our speech. If you want to see change in your life, start by paying attention to what you say. Ever noticed how negative self-talk can hold you back? When someone speaks over their life with faith, though, they invite transformation. That's the power of words. They either break chains or build them. And just like the angels are messengers, our words carry weight, sending messages to the universe, to God, and to ourselves. Thoughts are no different. What we focus on becomes our reality. By aligning thoughts with God's will, we stop letting distractions or negativity take root. It's about turning the internal dialogue into a constant prayer, an ongoing conversation with God. So, what's the message you're speaking over your life today? Are you empowering or limiting yourself? When life hits hard, whether through pain, silence, or fear, it's easy to feel abandoned. But this is where trust in God's presence becomes everything. The Bible assures us that even when we don't hear His voice, He's always listening. Just because we can't see Him doesn't mean He's not working on our behalf. He's closer than we think. Consider those moments when everything seems to be falling apart. It's in those times that faith plays its most vital role. Trusting that God's presence is greater than the struggle is the foundation of peace. No matter how loud the storm rages, if you know God is by your side, the fear begins to fade. And that's when true transformation begins. It's not always easy to trust when the answers aren't immediate. But that's the beauty of faith. It doesn't rely on what's visible, but on the certainty that God hears every prayer, even in silence. And with that trust, we find the strength to keep going, knowing that His presence is already working to turn things around. Can we trust even when we can't see the path? Life is fragile. The Bible reminds us that we're like a vapor, here today, gone tomorrow. So often, we live as though time is endless, forgetting how brief our journey truly is. This awareness of life's brevity isn't meant to be morbid. It's an invitation to live with purpose and intention, knowing that every day counts. Think about the moments when you're caught up in worry, frustration, or even chasing after things that won't matter in eternity. How many of those moments have truly shaped your purpose? If we could look at our lives through the lens of eternity, we'd realize how much time we waste. The prayer in Psalm 39 helps remind us to focus on what truly matters, the things of God, the things that last. To live wisely is to make decisions with eternity in mind. It's about using each day to grow closer to God, knowing that our time here is a gift. When we begin to understand that life is short, we start to treasure every moment more. How would our lives change if we lived each day like it was our last? Everyone has invisible chains that bind them: fear, doubt, insecurity. These chains aren't always obvious, but they prevent growth, keep us stuck, and hinder our relationship with God. That's why the prayer for deliverance is so powerful. It's an invitation to break free from these invisible forces that keep us in spiritual bondage. Consider a person who's trapped by fear of the unknown or paralyzed by self-doubt. They pray, but deep down, they feel like nothing will change. But when they pray Psalm 39 with faith, something shifts. It's as if the very walls that have confined them begin to crumble. Deliverance doesn't always come in dramatic moments, but in the quiet assurance that the chains no longer hold power. Freedom is a gift that only God can give, and it comes when we surrender those hidden fears and insecurities to Him. Just as the angels work behind the scenes to protect and guide us, so too does God's power move to break every chain. The question is, are we ready to accept that freedom and walk in the liberty He offers? In a world that constantly chases wealth, status, and power, it's easy to get caught up in the pursuit of things that won't last. Psalm 39 offers a counter-message, urging us to reject earthly vanity. It calls us to shift our focus away from temporary desires and look to what truly matters, things that have eternal value in God's kingdom. Think about the times when you've been obsessed with acquiring more material possessions or gaining recognition. Those things fade away, don't they? The Bible reminds us that all worldly treasures will perish, but the treasures of heaven remain forever. True fulfillment comes when we seek God's presence, not the approval of others or the fleeting pleasures of this world. To truly follow God, we must reject the false promises of materialism and vanity. It's not about neglecting the needs of this world, but about setting our hearts on the things above. The prayer in Psalm 39 helps us align our desires with God's will, seeking His kingdom first. When we let go of earthly pursuits, we make room for the true peace that comes from following Him. No matter how dark or challenging the circumstances may seem, hope in God is unshakable. Psalm 39 reminds us that no matter the opposition, evil cannot prevail against God's power. With each prayer, we claim victory over the forces of darkness, knowing that the path to freedom is already being paved by His divine will. Think about a situation where everything seemed impossible, yet somehow, a breakthrough came when you least expected it. That's God at work, turning what seemed like defeat into a victory. When you trust in God's presence, you realize that nothing, not even the most powerful forces of evil, can separate you from His love and protection. Victory in God isn't about avoiding battles. It's about knowing you'll win in the end. The Bible teaches us that we are more than conquerors through Him. As you continue to pray and surrender your life to Him, remember that God is already opening doors for peace, freedom, and victory in your life. The question is, will you trust Him to lead you through the storm? Are you ready to take action and transform your life with the power of Psalm 39? The keys to breaking free from curses and stepping into a life of peace, freedom, and victory are already in your hands. It's time to pray with purpose, trust in God's presence, and live with eternity in mind. How will you begin to apply the power of this prayer in your own life today? Don't wait for the perfect moment. Take that step now and feel the chains break. And remember, the journey doesn't stop here. Subscribe to the channel, activate notifications, and keep learning how to live the life you were meant to have. The best is yet to come.